Welcome to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Gemma, a nutritionist and mindset coach passionate about all things health and wellness. I'm going to take you on a journey to discovering what health means for you and how to create a life you love living. I'm on a mission to uplift those who feel overwhelmed with what it means to be healthy, reminding you, my listeners, that nutrition is only one aspect of health, and empower you to live your best life on your terms. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Today, I didn't do a solo podcast episode last week because that's like when I found out I had endometriosis and everything. I was diagnosed with endometriosis officially. And so I was going to create this whole episode around endo and my experience, my journey. And I was going to talk about what I'm doing as a nutritionist to kind of help heal myself and then so I can help future clients. But I was thinking about it and I was I actually want to test out a few things for myself first before I start sharing what I'm doing. I just don't want, because I don't know for sure what's going to work for me and what's not. So I was I'm actually just going to leave it for a bit. I'm going to do things behind the scenes, test myself. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm an open book in that sense. But then until I get a real definite of what's working, what's not, that's kind of when I want to officially share with everyone. If you didn't know, the story really, I've always had painful periods growing up, and I've always was suspicious of it being endometriosis. My mum has had endo, my nan, she had painful periods, but we don't know what she had because it's just become a thing nowadays. So I literally had just officially been diagnosed 2 weeks ago. And I was okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do some investigations, do some testings, and I'm going to figure out what is going on inside my body. I know there are tests that have shown that inflammation within the body and endo are quite linked, especially in the gut microbiome. And the more diverse your gut is, so the more good bacteria that you have and all different types of bacteria in there, the more gut microbes that you have, the better. So I was I'm going to test my gut microbe. So I've done a test, an at-home test that I've sent off. I'm going to see how that goes. And I went to do the AIP diet, so the autoimmune protocol diet. If you haven't heard of it, it's very restrictive. You literally cut pretty much everything out of your diet, even from nuts to red peppers. So there's tomatoes, capsicums, nightshade vegetables. So I literally did a huge cull for a whole week, and I was so restrictive. And I was I hate this. I hated it myself. I was could you imagine me recommending this to a client who, was just trying to begin their health journey? They're going to hate this. I was it's everything that I want to be against. It's so restrictive. So I was you know what I'm going to do? And I didn't even think to do it because I was always planning on doing the AIP diet and creating a fasting lifestyle, but doing it together. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a 24-hour gut reset. And that pretty much is the AIP diet just all in one hit. So I literally do fasting for 24 hours. And then after that, I'm going to slowly introduce the foods in and see what affects my gut and what doesn't. I know for sure, I've always had an inkling. I was always suspicious about this, but I know now for sure dairy is not my friend. And I hate that because I love dairy, I love cheese. So that is one that, it's hard. But what I'm doing is I'm just limiting it. I'm not fully removing it from my diet. Eventually now, here and there, I'm going to indulge in cheese, okay? I love cheese. But I'm just not having as much as I was before because I've cut it out a lot this last 2 weeks. I don't think I've had any dairy for the last 2 weeks. And it's actually a lot easier than what I thought. And I really thought cheese was going to be, my downfall. But I haven't had any cheese for the last 2 weeks and I've actually been okay. So it proves that you can do it. Cheese is not life. Well, for me anyway. And then there's been like other things that I've discovered. I do think there is something, whether it's gluten in particular that affects my gut, or whether it's some sort of flour or wheat. But yeah, there's definitely something there that also affects me. But it's really just good to know because now I have this information. Now I can be aware of it. And this is what I'm going to kind of go into today anyway. So I won't dwell on it too much right now, but I just wanted to kind of share exactly where I was in this journey, what's happening in my life, and that I will eventually be talking more about my endo journey and what's helping and what's not. But I'm just doing a bit of testing behind the scenes and then I'll let you guys know. In saying that, so I do have my group program Balance coming up. I'm so excited for this. I've already had a few women reach out where, we're getting it underway. It's going to be really good. It's 3 months with us women all together. I'm teaching you everything that I know works for sure. I've tested this. It's been proven in research papers, and it's just easy tools and hacks that you can pick and choose to suit your life. I know fasting works, and I know there are so many different varieties of fasting that you can include into your diet. There's so many different possibilities and so many different ways that you can fit it into your lifestyle, which is what I love. And I'm literally giving you all these tools. I'm teaching it to all of you. It's 9 weeks of learning 9 different modules. And then in the last month together, we are creating our own reset month. And a reset month is literally just bringing your gut and your hormones back to balance, back to the start. We're starting from scratch, and then we're resetting it all. So after this month, you are going to feel amazing. Trust me, because I've done this time and time again, and it's been proven in the studies. There's millions of women out there doing the exact same thing with other Fast Like a Girl coaches. I'm so excited to teach you all of this. So yeah, if this is something that interests you, this begins 1st of July. So you just have to sign up before then. And then I do have my wellness retreat, Recalibrate. I'm so excited because we have the Brisbane one starting next week. That is on the Saturday, and I'm just looking forward to it so much. We already are we're over capacity, so I hope everyone's going to fit in well because we've got to try and do Pilates and meditations and stuff, and we don't want to be packed like sardines, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. Gabby, who I absolutely adore, is setting it all up, and yeah, she's got it all under control. So I'm really excited about that. We're making it a thing. I'm getting my husband, my kids, we're all going. We're staying up in Brisbane because we're from Gold Coast. So we're going to drive up to Brisbane, stay there, make it a little holiday, make it a little celebration. And yeah, just have an amazing group of like-minded women together where I just am able to teach what I love teaching. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Anyway, let's get stuck into today's episode. It is 5 things, I've written it down, 1 second. 5 things all women should do before implementing any sort of diet or lifestyle. So if this is kind of like the person that, even if you're on your own wellness journey, this is still important information to know, because it's kind of like we forget sometimes. We do all these other things and we forget about this major stuff this underlying stuff that's actually really important, and it could be contributing to why you're not seeing results. You could be doing all the other things. You could be eating healthy. You've really restricted yourself. You're not eating ultra processed foods. You're doing journaling, or you could be doing all the things right, But you're like, what is going on? Why am I not feeling better? And believe me, it's probably one of these 5 things. So before you ever begin changing a new diet or lifestyle, like if you're a person that's like, okay, we're in June now, I've got 6 months left until Christmas, so I'm getting my body in the best shape. I'm gonna do this whole program. I'm gonna look really good. I'm gonna feel really good. Like whatever program it is, whatever diet you're going to implement, number 1 is, I just think, is so key and gonna help you understand yourself so much better and understand the journey, is track your cycle. Track your cycle. Track everything when it comes to that, you know. I know this stuff can be a bit tedious, but you know what's even more tedious is doing these programs and different diets and different regimes and never seeing results. And you never knowing the answers why. And even what's even more tedious than that is going to the doctors and getting tests done and being like, the doctor saying, well, you're fine, you're healthy, I don't know what's wrong, just eat less. You know, that is so frustrating in itself. So number 1, what you can do yourself without anyone else's help, you can literally do it yourself, is get an app, you know, that tracks your cycle. I use the app Flow, it's free, download that. I also like to track my basal body temperature. I love doing this through the app called Natural Cycles, I think it is. There is a fee to that one, but I just think it's worthwhile because it's all in the one app. You can add notes there. I add how I'm feeling that day, like track your emotions, because the thing is, then you get a clear picture, and it's not until like you've done it for a good 3 months that then you can look and go, okay, so every time I am about to ovulate, I actually end up feeling really down, really shitty. Like I feel depressed, I feel anxious or moody or something like that. And you're like, I always thought that was the time that you're supposed to feel up and feel really good. And the thing is, that's correct. Like, yes, around our ovulation is the time that we're probably feeling our best selves, because we've got all the hormones on the rise. You know, we've got estrogen at its highest, progesterone starting to develop. We've got testosterone at its peak. So of course, yeah, like that is the time that you're supposed to feel amazing. But the transition into that, you can actually feel a bit moody. You switching from, you know, building up to estrogen to becoming in its peak and testosterone building up, that can actually play a lot of havoc on your body and can create this sort of overwhelm that can make you feel really moody. So it is good to know that, especially if you know exactly where it's happening in your month and you're checking your basal body temperature, because this can help you know exactly when you're going to ovulate and exactly when the lead up is. So you're going to be like prepared. And you know what's even amazing about that is if you are able to, say if you work for yourself or you have your own business, you can plan to your business to that cycle. Like if you know you're really moody that day, you're not going to book a lot of meetings on that day. You know what I mean? The more you familiarize yourself with this, the more you understand your own body and the more life is going to be easier for you. You know, the other things that I would want you to track is stuff like your bowel movements. So how many times are you going to the bathroom a day? You know, this is important. What's it like? Like, look at that. I know we all hate looking at our own feces, but look at the Bristol stool chart because it tells you a lot. And there are times this can be different in your cycle, and that's okay. But it also can affect how you're feeling on the day too. Like, let's not forget that. Like, you can do so many tests and whatever, but it's been proven that there is a gut-mind connection. So if you're feeling really anxious or really overwhelmed or really upset that day, that can affect your bowel motions for the day. So just keep that in mind too, because You know, you could be a person that's just eaten dairy and then you've had a bad bowel motion and you're just like, oh, I can't eat dairy. But it might not actually be dairy. It might be the fact that maybe you had a really stressful morning, you're running late to work or something, and then that has played a part on your gut, and that's the result of it. It really is true. There is that gut-mind connection. So grab one of those apps. I highly recommend it. As I said, Flow is free, and just write as many notes as you can. Write as many, and even if it doesn't make sense to you that day, just say, I started off really grumpy. At the end of the day, I got really happy. Even if it's just like that. You know, this day I felt really sick in my stomach, not sure why. This is what I ate. If you can quickly write down the foods that you ate, like that's even more amazing. You're going to get more of an insight. And you don't have to do this forever. It's just, I recommend just do it like 3 months within a year. And then you can get a good idea of what's going on with your body and your hormones and then that's when you can really start to make the big changes before you even start down a dieting or new lifestyle path. Because as soon as you're on this new diet and you're not seeing results, you're going to blame yourself. You're going to blame yourself and be like, I'm lacking in motivation. I'm not good enough. How come all these other women, they're getting results. How come I'm doing the exact same thing? I'm even eating less and I'm still not getting results. And when you have those 3 months of tracking, you can look back and go, maybe it's because I'm 90% stressed, throughout this whole time. I'm always stressed. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's what's the issue. The more knowledge you have, the more power to you. So yes, number one is track your cycle. Track everything. Number two, and I just recommend, I say this all the time to anyone that is doing any sort of diet, even if they're not working with me, is love your body the way it is now. Love yourself the way it is now. And I know that sounds super corny and super like, Gemma, that's not going to get me results. But believe me, it will. The mind is so bloody powerful. So powerful. And we forget as humans how powerful it is. And if you're looking at yourself all the time, hating on yourself, going, my body's not good enough, I hate the way I look, then you're not going to get the results that you want. This diet, this new lifestyle that you implement, it's not going to work because you're telling yourself, your mind is receiving the messages, your body's receiving the messages from your mind, or I should say, and saying, well, I'm not good enough. We're not going to lose weight no matter what happens. So I'm going to make that so. You keep telling me, so I'm going to believe it. It's so powerful. I just don't know how much more I can convince you on this. It's not just that, but it's also a self-love thing too, and a self-care. You shouldn't be, your main reason for implementing this change or this lifestyle that you want, it shouldn't be because you hate yourself and you want to look different. That's just such a minor part in life. The way you look is so tiny. And at the end of the day, if you're big and if you're super skinny, that actually doesn't give you a great indication on whether you're internally healthy or not. It's more what's going on the inside and what's going on inside your head as well. That's what's a good indication of health. So love yourself, love your body. Even when, you are, say you're at your biggest right now that you've ever been, you've put on a lot of weight and you're just like, how did I get to this point? I want you, before you even attempt at implementing a new healthy lifestyle or going on a health fitness journey, I want you to thank your body and look at the fat that is actually on your body. And I know it sounds bizarre, but I want you to say thank you to it, because your body is so freaking clever and it's looking after you. That fat that you have on your body could have stored that in your organs. But instead, it was like, no, I'm not going to store it in the organs because I know that's detrimental to our health and is going to create, all sorts of disease, all sorts of risk to your life. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to store it in your fat stores so that we are creating a safety barrier around your organs. So that fat that you're seeing, that is your body protecting you. It is so bloody smart. So think of it in that way. Change your mindset around this. Okay, I know it sounds woo-woo, but if you were to follow any of my advice, I just feel like this is one of the biggest ones, is loving yourself the way you are now. Because then as you're going through this journey, it becomes easy, it becomes fun. And in your mind, you're not thinking like, I need to lose this weight because of how I look. In your mind, you've got a different you've got a different thought. You've got a different outlook on it. You're like, I'm just doing this because I just want to feel the best I can. I just want to thrive. I just want to live my best life, feeling my best self. I don't want to get through the whole of my life not ever feeling what it's like to live at the best version of myself. Imagine if I got to the end of my life and I never knew what it was like to feel my very best. So why not? Why not do this? Why not go all in? This is why I'm doing it. That is a heaps better way at looking at this with a heaps better positive outlook. You are going to be so much more motivated and you are going to enjoy the journey. And remember what I've talked about before, that's what's going to bring on oxytocin, the love hormone, the hierarchy of all hormones. It is at the top and it is going to help stabilize your other hormones. You want to be in that sense, in that feel the whole time. That's what you want to be on your journey. So number 2 is love yourself. Number 3 is de-stress now. Before you go on this journey, track how stressful you are and de-stress now. Stress is literally, it's so high up there with what's impacting our bodies. And this day and life that we have now is always so stressful. There is so much technology around us, phones, TV, we've got TikTok and Instagram and stuff that you can just literally scroll for hours on and not realize what it's actually doing to your body. You can be stressed and not even realize you're stressed. And that is literally I remember when I was a skin therapist and when I would talk to clients and ask how they were feeling, were they stressed at times? Because stress always came up a lot in the skin. You could always see it come up, with outbreaks and acne. Clients, even with clients who had a lot of pigmentation or a lot of fine lines and wrinkles around their eyes and stuff. And milia was a really big one too if they were on their phones a lot. This is stuff that really comes down to stress, what's going on inside. But whenever you would ask the clients, they'd always be like, oh no, I'm not stressed. I don't really get stressed. And they're like, they don't really know what stress is though anymore. 90% of us are stressed. We just don't know that we're stressed anymore. That we've got, as I said, the phones and stuff. When you're scrolling on TikTok and you're seeing video after video and say something pops up and it was something that scared you or something that frightened you, something that was made you think about yourself or worry about your own life or go, oh, why aren't I there yet? Why are they so far ahead? Maybe I should do this. That's actually creating cortisol in your body and you don't even realize. And cortisol is fine when we need it, but an influx of cortisol and too much cortisol is what shuts down other hormones, is what gets stored as fat, and is what can make your health journey really, really hard. Especially if you're going on any sort of diet that is really restrictive, that is going to bring on cortisol within itself. Even a fasting lifestyle, which I absolutely love, when you're fasting, you are creating cortisol within your body. It's just how it works. So we don't want a double whammy of cortisol. We don't want to be implementing this healthy lifestyle, being a little bit restrictive here and there and creating cortisol within our body. Plus, we're also in our day-to-day life creating cortisol with just the stresses of work or the stresses of social media or whatever it is. So the things that you can do to de-stress, there's so much. What I highly recommend though is because I love, as I said before, I love tracking everything. If you've got an Apple Watch, get the Stress Watch app. It'll really open your eyes up to how stressed you really are. I didn't realize how much, as I sit here, mine right now, it measures your heart rate variability. And mine right now is 21. And you really, I can't even show you, but it's giving the sad face. It's literally a sad face and it's saying overload. So it means that right now I am probably producing a bit too much cortisol. I'm probably really stressed. And you know what's really crazy is I don't feel stressed. So, this hasn't readjusted itself. That's the only thing with the Apple Watches. They take a bit of time to readjust yourself. The other things that test stress is the Aura rings. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of those. They're only, I think, they come from America. So if you live in Australia, it is quite a bit of money when you do the convert rate. But they sound amazing and I would eventually one day love to get one. But they also measure your heart rate variability. And I think they're pretty more accurate because it measures more throughout the day. I don't know a lot about it. I've just literally started using the smartwatch one. But this told me, I think it was around 12 o'clock today and now it's 2, but it told me around 12 o'clock that I was, overloaded with stress. So it's crazy because this morning I just got my hair done. You know what I did though? I was getting my hair done, but I was getting my hair dyed. So as it was going on and, it takes a while, I was literally on my phone doing work. What I could have done in that time is literally removed myself from work and said, no, this is my self-care moment and de-stressed. Just did something for me. Maybe I brought a book. I should have read the book. So we all do it. Even I do it. And it's something that I'm really trying to work hard on. But stress is such a big impact on our health. So, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a wellness girly and you have your own business, whether you're someone who has your own business on something that feels really calming. You could be, someone that does a yoga instructor, for example, and you do a lot of calming exercises and stuff. But you could still be stressed because you're a business owner or you've got to create the class schedule or something like that. And that is also creating cortisol without you realizing, even though you're in a really calm, centered space. So one way to really check it is if you can have tools like this, like an Apple Watch. I'm not sure if there's anything else out there. If anyone knows, please let me know because I love learning about this stuff. And then we can help other people learn too. So that's number 3 is literally de-stress. One thing that I also do on that note recommend is when you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, if you can, because I have kids, so I get what it's like. But if you can, do a 5-minute meditation. There's guided meditations on this app called Insight Timer. Do a quick 5-minute meditation on that app to really calm yourself down and get you centered for the day. If you can't get the app out, you're surrounded by kids. This is something I do. The kids all hop into bed with me. They just chill on their own, doing their own thing, play with their toys or whatever. I literally just sit in the middle, even if they're creating a muck and being loud. I'll just sit in the middle and I'll just close my eyes and I'll just think of my day and I'll just picture it being really calm. Picture it being what do I want to get done, but not create it like it's a to-do list. Just be something that I'm really happy to look forward to. really practicing gratitude. Like gratitude brings on oxytocin. So that's what I'll do kind of like in between the kids. If I'm stuck in the middle of the bed and they're both at the other ends, I'll just like sit in there, close my eyes, take 5 big breaths, like in and out, and then I will just picture something that makes me feel really grateful for the day. Like, great, I'm so grateful that I'm in this big bed with my 2 kids. We're warm. We're looking, I can literally turn my head to the right and I'll look out and see that our backyard's like over the water canal and it's beautiful. We have a pool. It's just stunning. Like, we're in a stunning location. You know, that just brings on gratitude straight away. And that is a really awesome way to start your day before you even step foot out of the bed. And it is possible even when you have kids, believe me. Number 4 is go low tox where you can. I've spoken a little bit about it on this podcast too. And we've had Gabby on here who was amazing, who kind of taught us about low toxing your household and stuff. But the toxins out there, there's just so much. It's in our food, it's in our household cleaners, it's in our beauty products, it's literally everywhere. So if you can just do little bits here and there to low tox your household, that's gonna make massive changes before you start implementing this healthy lifestyle. And it's gonna make, believe it or not, it's actually gonna make your health journey a lot easier. Because what these toxins are doing, they are getting into your body and they get being stored as fat. So your body doesn't know what, they're called obesogens, and your body doesn't know what to do with these obesogens. So it literally just stores it as fat because it's just like, obviously it's trying to protect itself. So you could be on this really amazing health journey, but you've got this stubborn weight that you're like, I cannot get rid of. And it's frustrating you, which is then going to bring on more cortisol. So it's literally this vicious cycle. So this is why it's really key before you even start this, is to try to limit toxins within your house, within your beauty products. Do what you can. I work with an amazing brand called Young Living, and they literally have everything on there to get you started. There's household cleaning items. My very first pack was a household cleaning pack. I got laundry mixes, hand soap, there was stuff to clean your vegetables with. Like, they literally have everything. I then, replaced our toothpaste. I've replaced my deodorant. Deodorant is actually a really big one because us as women, like, most of us, I know it's different, but a lot of us do shave underneath our arms, and shaving technically is actually bad for women to do. I know there's a lot of controversy around that, which is crazy. If, women grow out their arm hair and they're like, oh, it's disgusting, which is absolutely insane because that's actually what's natural and what the body is designed to do. And when we actually shave and cut it off, we are preventing the pathways of detoxing. That's a place where we really detox a lot of toxins out of our body, and we're blocking it by doing that. Not saying that shaving, is the worst thing ever to do, because I still shave under my arms. It's what I prefer to do for myself. But what you can do and really make sure that you do is get a loofah or something to really exfoliate under there and make sure those pathways are still open. Because as I said, it's a really important place where we're going to detox. We detox estrogen out of there too. I've talked about this on my Instagram if you follow me. That is a really big one. I think us as women, we forget, like, we do get high estrogen buildup at ovulation, which is amazing, but we do eventually have to detox that estrogen. And a big place that we don't detox it out of is our armpits, and this is why, using an exfoliant can be really good in that. And working on your deodorant as well. I used to use my whole life those spray deodorants. I used to use them all the time. I literally got them from the supermarket. They are jam-packed with obesogens. And as I said, that place is a place where you're detoxing out of. It's a major pathway. So you don't want to clog it up with all those chemicals. So I literally got a roll-on deodorant that I get from the Young Living brand that I use. If you're interested in any of that at all and you're like, how do I even start with Young Living? Please reach out to me because I can help you there. Love that brand. Otherwise, just if you have time, do the research. If you have time, look up the ingredients that are there. I have a list on my Instagram if you want to have a look that has the bunch of obesogens that you really need to be aware of. It's really good, and I even tell you there like where you'll mostly find it. That's a really good piece of information to know though, because as I said, this is what is going to make or break your health journey, really. So that is number 4. And then number 5, which I just think is something that we've all really forgotten, especially when it comes to nutrition world, is shortening your eating window. Obviously, I rave on and on about fasting, and I think fasting sometimes gets a bad rap. Like we kind of look at it and we're kind of like, oh, no, that means you're not eating. That's so bad. Like, you could be bad on you mentally, it could be bad on you physically, and it could mess with your hormones. And if you've ever listened to me talk about fasting, like, that there are times where you need to do it and you shouldn't do it as a woman. And I talk all about that in my episode on this podcast. So if you want, I think it's like number 4, episode 4, you can always go back to that and have a listen. That talks a lot about the different types and when we should and shouldn't be fasting in our cycle. But technically, we all fast. Like when you go to sleep, when you're sleeping throughout the night, you're fasting. You're not eating as you sleep. So I'm not being drastic in saying that fasting lifestyle is so crazy. Like you can do a fasting lifestyle and always just keep your fast at like 13 hours. That is still going to benefit your body. You know what I mean? Don't think of fasting as this dramatic thing where you're not eating for days on end. It's so particular and so different, and you can chop and change it to your life. But shortening your eating window by just even an hour, pushing back that eating window an hour, is going to give your body that extra time to detox what it needs to. As I said, we need to detox estrogen. If we're not detoxing estrogen properly, this is where a lot of women can experience bloating around ovulation, because ovulation is the time where we have peak estrogen, and then after it we have a crash of estrogen. So we need to detox this estrogen out of our bodies. If we're eating all the time and we're not allowing our liver time to heal itself, this estrogen might get caught up within our body and get stored as fat. Or what's worse, it's been proven that if we have too much of an estrogen buildup, it can turn into this estrogen that can bring on cancer. So we all have cancer cells within our body, but it's whether they get activated or not, which can cause us to develop it into something worse, like a tumor or something. So this is why, we just need to give our bodies that extra time to heal and detox. The liver and the gut are our biggest tools at detoxing. Your liver is literally self-healing. It detoxes itself. So we just need to give it that extra time to do its thing. We forget, once again, how smart our bodies are. And feeding your body constantly, and I see it time and time again. Like I've actually seen it on a few posts. It always pops up for me where, there's nutritionists and dietitians out there saying you should never skip a meal. And I just want to remind everyone that this came from a time where intermittent fasting came out, and it was this huge craze, and everyone was like, oh my God, like this is amazing, you've got to try this. And then they soon realized it wasn't working for women all of a sudden. Women's hormones were going all out of control. Like they were all out of sync. Some people weren't getting their periods, and then they deemed it as, oh my God, intermittent fasting is not good for women. Women cannot fast. So that was a big no-no. No women were fasting anymore. It wasn't until, which I highly recommend if you get this book, it's called Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. She wrote a whole book on this and was like, no, women can fast. It's just we have to do it differently. There are different times within our hormonal cycle which we can fast, and different times we need to pull back a little and say, no fasting. As I've said before, you definitely cannot fast a week before your period, because that's the time progesterone is building, and progesterone cannot handle it when you fast. So it's just that what's frustrating is there wasn't enough research done on women's health at the time when intermittent fasting came up. Like, it was so brand new, and a lot of research has always been done on men, unfortunately. So it was just kind of like, well, women can't do it, that's that. And it was like, well, aren't we going to like research into this a little bit more? Like, what goes on with women's hormones? Why can't they do it? Is there a way we can fit this into someone's life still? Like, because it's kind of sucked for the women that loved doing this and loved implementing this into their life. It was like kind of like, well, now you've just taken it away from them because you just told them it's bad. But there are ways around it now, which is good, which is what we know. So yeah, that's just the fifth thing that I recommend, is just giving your body some time to heal itself. You know, our body, it can take up to like 8 hours or more for your body to start producing ketones, and your brain and your mitochondria needs 50% ketones and 50% glucose. Glucose comes from what we eat. So we do have to lean into the stage of where we're burning fat, because when we're burning fat, we're producing ketones, which means you do have to extend your fasting window a little bit more. And then we go into our eating window, which produces glucose. We need to also produce ketones, because ketones are what helps us, helps give us energy too. I have actually spoken to quite a lot of women who say that like, oh no, I can't fast because if I don't have breakfast in the morning, I can't function. And that's something to really look into as a woman, because for anyone really, actually, if you are struggling and you can't get through your morning without eating, that could be a sign of a couple of different things. You could have too many toxins in your body. You could be insulin resistant. You could have way too much stress, so cortisol burning through your body. So this is something that's a clear indicator that it's like, okay, well then something's actually going wrong, because you should be able to get through the morning without food. I know everyone is different, but let's think back to hunter-gatherer days. Remember, we weren't having breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. We were literally waiting for the men to go hunt and bring back the food, and then we would all feast at one point. We didn't have these scheduled times of, you have to have breakfast, you have to have lunch, you have to have dinner. And also, if you are fasting and you do just love breakfast, like you're a person that's like, okay, I know I don't need it, but I love breakfast, like that is my time, that's okay too. There is no rules to fasting. Like you can, there are rules. You need to fast at certain times in your cycle, but you can eat breakfast in the morning and then you can just have dinner a little bit earlier. There's things that you can do. You can chop and change. But anyway, that is literally the 5 things that I just thought were really important to address for anyone that is wanting to implement or start a health journey, to come back to these 5 things and first clean them up. Clean these up first, work on these things first, and then it'll make that whatever diet you choose to implement or whatever health lifestyle you choose to implement, it's going to make it that tad bit easier. So yeah, anyway, that's all I've got for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a rating and review. I love seeing that it makes my day. Otherwise, I will talk to you all in the next episode. Bye guys.